Chinese soldiers have been spotted fighting for Russia in Ukraine. Just what does it mean for the war and for the relationship between China and Russia? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. Let's talk about it. So here's kind of the footage that really set me off on kind of looking into this was this individual here. This is a Chinese citizen who supposedly turned up in Ukraine. This looks like it's from a Chinese TikTok clone, or I guess the OG TikTok. But as you can see, he is a Chinese soldier, but look. Right, he's got his Russian patch, his Z patch. Notice his gear. This actually is pretty sophisticated gear. This makes me think this guy is actually was a Chinese soldier at some point, because you notice he's got a this battle rifle looks actually a lot like the Chinese standard issue. I think it's called like the QZ-10 or something. It's an AR style platform, as opposed to like an AK sort of platform that the Chinese military has kind of gone away from. But he's got, his grenades clipped in here. He's got his plate carrier, his mags. He looks like his kit is pretty put together. Even his helmet looks like it fits properly. He's got extra mags there. He's got an assault pack. Right. This is somebody who's even got his carabiner up here. This is somebody who looks pretty properly kitted. Yeah, you notice too, there's just a little bit of like the way he handles the weapon, the way he keeps one hand on it, good trigger discipline. This is not amateur hour. And we know that Russia is willing to send some pretty inexperienced soldiers to the front line. So it makes me think that this is a former Chinese service member who likely volunteered for this operation. This what started me down this rabbit hole. I said, oh, is there more of this? And then when I plugged it in, I realized here is a video from a month ago from Channel 13.
Mercenaries are fighting for Russia in Ukraine. Chinese mercenaries are fighting for Russia in Ukraine, according to a video shared by a Russian military blogger on social media.
Right, here is this is a clip from a blogger showing a Chinese citizen here communicating with a Russian, I think it's an instructor, but they look like they're using an iPhone translation app.
Footage shared by Russian military correspondent Pavel Kukushin on his Telegram channel shows two men sitting opposite each other at a table communicating in...
Now you see this? This looks like they're conducting a training exercise, which again, you see it's kind of a pre-dug trench, right? There's a individual doing the clearing exercise, and it looks like an instructor or a safety here supervising. This is pretty classic of like a military training exercise. So it makes me think that they are in fact using Chinese nationals, training them to be soldiers or to fight within Russian formations.
Russian and Chinese via a voice electronic translator. Newsweek reported about this. There is no language.
You see, oh, what the hell?
Barrier.
Okay, wait, I want to show you an example of what not to do. Watch this Chinese mercenary.
There is no language barrier. A volunteer for the People's Republic of China communicates with the commander of the Pyatnachka International Brigade using...
Oh, okay, maybe not. Maybe he's okay. But still, there's something about the way this unslung rifle is just being casually kind of hung like that. Just sort of says that this dude's probably not served in the military before. Right, he's got a sling. He just doesn't have his rifle attached to the sling. That's amateur hour.
Translator wrote Kukushin. Russian President Vladimir Putin has reportedly been under increasing pressure to take a more aggressive approach to his war against Ukraine and introduce a full-scale mobilization in the country.
Okay, we know about this, but what's most interesting, again, is the fact that, one, you heard in there that there's actually a Russian International Legion that has a large Chinese contingent. Really interesting. I had never heard of a Russian International Legion, despite the large number of foreign nationals fighting for Russia, right? And so then you go 2 months ago, you see there's even more Chinese mercenaries spotted fighting for Russia. Now, again, this may be... Oh, this is actually the same... Oh, I think this is the same footage because it's from Pavel Kukushin, and you see... They shout out the name of the Pyatnachka International Brigade, how they're using a translator. I wonder if there's anything about this brigade, like on Wikipedia. Yeah, here we go. Wikipedia says it was originally part of the DPR. Now it's part of the Donetsk Army Corps. And it doesn't really have a... Interesting that it does not have a size, but it was supposedly fought in the 2023 counteroffensive, heavily involved in the Battle of Avdiivka, and of course, In March 2024, reported the brigade accepted Chinese volunteers. You could see it looks like it's been around for a long time. Very interesting stuff. Again, something I did not know existed until recently. But is this the primary vehicle by which China is supporting Russia? No, but they are supporting Russia. And the primary vehicle is doing what China does best, which is manufacturing, right? Behind the scenes, this is from just a few days ago, just 2 or 3 days ago, Carnegie Endowment for Peace reported that behind the scenes, China's increasing its role in Russia's defense industry. But what it's doing is really kind of shady, right? Since February 2022, China has increased its exports to Russia by about 60%. And this is in some ways a lifeline to Russia's economy. But what it's supplying is often dual-use products. These are products that have a civilian application, but also a military application. And usually what that means is that they are like precursor items that can be put in different types of civilian or military systems. And the problem is that because they could be used for civilian purposes, they aren't really that controlled, right? It's not like you're producing an artillery shell or a missile. But instead, these are often products like electronics or optical devices. And Russia has basically outsourced all of these components to China. The idea is that, of course, they'll be sent to Russia for like final assembly. And so Russia is the one making the weapons, but China is sending them the IKEA parts kits so that they're just snap and go is kind of the theory. Now, again, telecommunications, semiconductors. We'll take a look at the full list of what they consider dual-use products, but you can see here, right, machine tools are another good example. These are the things you need to make the things. So instead of selling Russia rifles, they're selling them CNC machine tools, something that can be used to easily manufacture basic soldier parts, again, like a rifle or a part to a tank. You could see how China's kind of playing fast and loose. Now, they're not doing it explicitly. Chinese exporters are, and sometimes just blatantly defying the sanctions, but more likely they're circumventing them, oftentimes selling them to intermediaries that are facilitating the payments. There's rumors that there's some Middle Eastern countries that are actually kind of being the shell buyer and shell seller to prevent China from getting ousted for doing this. But we can see that Russia's GDP has continued to grow. So even if you could see here that even following the invasion, right, you could see that here is 2020, 2021, 2022. It was growing. Let's see if we can get this here. Yeah, Russian ministry sees 2024 GDP at almost 3% higher, which says that even if China's not sending them military gear, which they also are just sustaining their economy through trade, right? They're selling goods to Russia, and Russia is in turn exporting goods to China, right? This is why sanctions are supposed to stop this sort of thing. So when we take a look at what constitutes some of this stuff, you can see that this is the list of high priority items, February 2024. These are the tier 1 items that the EU considers to be extremely applicable to military use, right? These are integrated circuits, processors, controllers, logic circuits, amplifiers, clock and timing circuits, or other types of circuits, and all kinds of integrated circuits, right? Tier 2 is, of course, looks like relays or retransmission devices, radio transmission stuff. And of course, then you have other things like static converters, aerial reflectors, television, digital cameras, video recorders. Again, you can see how like a digital camera or video recorder might be installed on a drone. Right, plugs and sockets for low voltage items. Again, LED lights. So these are obviously dual use, but they're kind of basic items, right? Think about how many in a tank, how many of these items might appear, or in a sophisticated aircraft, for example. You can see also they have, you get lower on the list, you have things like ball bearings, right? Parts of airplanes, helicopters, unmanned aircraft, telescopic sights for arms and other optical devices. So just to give you guys a sense of what constitutes these high priority items, you can see they're pretty generic, right? They're pretty important to both civilian and military applications. And if you're interested in seeing, guys, some of the fighting on the front line to see how Russia uses these high priority items, you want to check out combatvetnews.com. Twice a week, I find the uncensored combat footage from the front lines. It's the most up-to-date stuff I can find. Oftentimes in the battles that are going on, sometimes we get footage that's less than, I think, 12 hours old. And we do a deep dive analysis of what the fighting is like on the ground. If you want access to that and you want to support the channel, because you know I don't get hardly any sponsors because, war bad, you want to become a member. Any one of these tiers here is going to get you access. But of course, I have nothing but love and appreciation for the lieutenant and the colonel tier folks. You guys get the shout outs at the end of the videos. So check us out, combatvetnews.com. That's pretty much all I have for today, guys. Be sure to subscribe, like the video. Thanks to the colonel tier members. Thanks to the lieutenant tier members. And I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.